Good morning. Boru Aboye. Greetings. My name is Baba Anthony, and I am with Okanran Sode Temple here in Miami, Florida. Thank you for joining me for today's temple service. So, our topic for today is do not let your anger destroy your good destiny. The world seems very angry these days. It's happening all over the place, whether it be within the microaggressions we see within conversations with each other, or road rage on the streets, to full out war happening around the world. There's a lot of anger that's happening, and as an individual, I would love to see it stop. If we can figure out how to make it stop, that would be amazing. Oftentimes, the way that people act, right, changes the opinions of them, right? What do we think about the person who responds in such a harsh, negative way? This can be especially challenging if you are a leader or someone who is seen as an elder in today's times. Right? Think about that. If you're leading a group of people and you're showing anger all the time, there's a good chance you're not going to be leading that group of people for very long, at least not in today's times. So, before we begin, let us define anger, right? This is a bitter and violent feeling against others and or what they represent. This is a negative and unproductive feeling against other people based on real or imaginary reasons. As we move through today's Ifa Temple service, there's some questions that I want you to think about. One, how does unchecked anger impact personal relationships and professional opportunities? Two, how can negative emotions like anger impact our ability to achieve our goals? And three, what role does self awareness play in preventing anger from negatively affecting one's destiny? So let's think about those things as we move through today's Ifa Temple service. So the first verse I'm going to start with today comes from the Odu of Ogbe Iyonu. Ogbe Iyonu, that is Ogbe on the right and Ogunda on the left. Anger amounts to nothing. Patience is the father of all good character. The elder who is patient, he will be blessed with all the good things of life. These were Ifa's declarations to Inya, the fire, who wanted to be installed as Olon Ronro, the illuminator. He was advised to offer a bow. So the first part of this story is we're talking about Inya, fire. Inya wanted to be the great illuminator, and there were three candidates at this particular time that were going for this position. Now Inya thought to himself, I'm great to be in this role. He's the oldest of the three, and he's thought to himself, I would be good. I'm the one who's going to be in charge. And the kingmakers, the group of kingmakers, Awos and others alike, they also thought the same thing. They thought Inya would be great. He's got the ability to do the job and to do it well. But there's one thing that was a little bit different about Inya and his character. Inya was the type of person who thought to himself that he really couldn't deal with people asking foolish questions or doing foolish things. He always had a way about him that if someone approached him with some sort of ridiculous issue or problem, he was like, no, he would them very poorly and disrespectful towards them. This caused some great concern. And in Inya's mind, he thought to himself, you know what? I'm so perfect for this role. I'm so great for this role. I just need to figure out what they're going to do for my installation. So in preparation for the potential of being installed as Olon Ronro, the great illuminator, he goes to see a group of priests. The priests cast Ifa for Inya, and the Odu of Ogbe Iyonu comes out. They explain to Inya the challenges that he would be facing. That was that, he needed to have a shift in his character, and he needed to understand how to treat people. He needed to show patience. He needed to show calmness, benevolence, humility. He needed to have a shift in his character and who he was. And he also needed to offer a particular abode. Now, Enya took a step back for a moment and he thought to himself, he's like, I only actually came here to find out what I needed to do to prepare for my installation. Would it be a grand installation? Who was going to be coming? Do I need to invite people from here and here? He was just, his only plans when he came to see the priests was to figure out how to prepare for the party itself. He was beside himself. He says, you know what? They want me to act weak, right? Enya saw kindness as weak. He saw humility as being, saw all these good characteristics that the Awos were talking about as negative things. And so Enya found himself just angry, upset with the Awos. So what did he do? As he left, he says, you know what? I'm not offering any abo. You guys are all foolish. And he starts to create havoc as he was leaving, starting fires here, starting fires there, causing so much damage. People lost their lives. People lost their homes. It was a very, very bad situation for Enya. The kingmakers saw this and thought to themselves, how could they install someone in a position of leadership who would treat others this way, who would lose his temper to the point of others losing their lives? So they decided they would move. Anger amounts to nothing for one. Patience is the father of all good character. The elder with patience is he who will be blessed with the good things of life. These were Ifa's declarations to Orun, the son, who wanted to be installed as Olonronro the Illuminator. He was advised to offer a bow. Now we move on to the second character of the story, Orun, the son. Now the son saw himself as the great illuminator. There was no point of the world that the rays of the sun could not reach, right? He didn't even actually go and speak with the kingmakers. He just thought to himself, they should be coming to see me. I'm already the greatest. I'm already most prepared for this job. I couldn't even believe that they would consider others. So he sat and waited. Now, the kingmakers weren't thinking anything about it. They were kind of trying to get over what had happened with Enya, and nobody had gone to see Orun. Orun kept thinking to himself, he's like, this seems a little bit strange. And either way, he goes to a group of priests to have Ifa cast to find out, will his party be great? Will he be supported? All the things that he wanted to know, but it's all focused around the preparation for the party and the presentation itself. But time had passed and nobody had come to see Orun. Orun found himself very upset. He couldn't believe that no one had come to see him. The Awos that cast Ifa for him, they explained to him a similar situation as they explained to Enya. They said, you have to be someone who has good character. You have to have patience, humility, understanding. You have to be benevolent. Orun didn't like what they were saying. He was offended. So he decides to not offer a bow and he leaves. So what does Orun do? He intensifies his heat on the people. He intensifies the sun because he was so upset and so angry that he decided he would take it out on the people around in the communities. So because of the heat and intensity of the sun, it caused drought, it caused famine, caused many people to lose their lives, destruction of homes, destruction of communities. This made the kingmakers very upset. This made everyone very upset. So now Orun was out of the running. Anger amounts to nothing for one. Patience is the father of all good character. The elder who is patient, he will be blessed with all the good things of life. These were Ifa's messages to Osupwa Kirimu, the full moon, who wanted to be installed as Olonronro, the illuminator. He was advised to offer a bow. So now we have the third character of our story this morning, Osupwa Kirimu, the full moon. He was in a position where he was, unlike the previous two, he was much more calm, more collected. He was very, very calm. 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 much more patient, much more willing to do kindness, because it's the light of the full moon. We all understand it's not heavy, it's not harsh, there's nothing harmful about it. And at first he thought I'd never have a chance to become the great illuminator, but you know what? I think I'm gonna at least try to go out for it. Right? I'm at least give it the best I can. So he goes to the group of Elwo to have Ifa cast for him. The Owls cast Ifa, and guess what Odu comes? Ogbe Iyonu. They explain to Osupa Kirimu that he needs to be a presence that is kind, that is patient, that is benevolent, that shows humility. He needs to be willing to hear the people and to provide for the people, to not be a dictator. Also, he needed to offer a bow in order to support his chances. So, Osupa Kirimu decides to offer the abo that day, the day of the divination. He does everything he can, and he waits. So as he makes his offering, as we know about Eshu Odara, Eshu goes out and he's in the ears of the kingmakers, the ears of the people of the town. It's the night that Osupa Kirimu comes out and shows its fullness as the full moon itself. And people came out from hiding from the sun at this time. They came out and they laid out and enjoyed the calmness and the sereneness of the full moon. They sat and decided, this is what we need as the great illuminator. We need this right here. Eshu then started on his path and made it over again to the kingmakers and says, we need to install Osupa Kirimu as soon as we can, without the others knowing, so that they cannot cause any more damage. And so they did just that. In the end, they installed Osupa Kirimu as the great illuminator. So let's think about this particular story. Let's take a moment and consider what we have happening. We'll put it in aspects of our real life. We have 3 people applying for a job, 2 who are extremely qualified for the position, and because of the way they act, because of the way they treat others, they were excluded. Right? I'm sure at some point we know people like that. We know that people who have lost the blessings in their life because of their character, or I should say their lack of good character. That's a challenge. That's something we need to think about on a daily basis. How do we treat others? I'm not saying we need to walk around and say, well, what do you think about me? Am I great? No, just think to yourself, am I patient? Am I showing humility? Am I being kind? Am I being trustworthy and honest? These are the things that we need to apply to our life. We can't be walking around with so much rage that it harms those around us. We need to be in the position of Osupa Kirimu when we're willing to hear others, we're willing to listen, we're willing to and support. I've always thought to myself, anyone who wants to be in a position of being a manager or leader or an elder needs to hear those who they are leading. Right? If they want the support of those under them, they need to be able to hear those that are underneath them. They need to be able to support them so that they have what they need, so that the job will be easier for them. The job for the leader will be easier in the end. This is real life. And I'm sure that we all can point to someone that we've known who's allowed their anger to cause them to lose out. It's a challenging way to live. And so thinking about this story, we need to understand our character is key in everything that we do. Do not let us have anger destroy what belongs to us. I know in my own life, sometimes that's caused me to think about, who do I want as an elder? Who do I want as a mentor? Who do I want as a boss? Who do I want in any position where I need to support them? When I was younger, I remember having, um, the part-time jobs in college and having managers who would yell. I'd be like, I don't understand why you're yelling. I don't what's you're yelling, and it caused me to leave. Like, I can't. This is not appropriate. I can't work in these conditions. I'm doing my job. I'm getting praised by the customers, but the person at top only wants more. No, you need to be doing more. Anger ruins so much. We need to understand that. Right. Move on. Let's go on to our next verse of this morning, and it comes from the Odu of Ogbe Oshe. Ogbe Oshe. And it goes, the latter leaned on the floor and the wall. This was Ifa's message for Ogbe when going to the land of Ajase. He was advised to offer a bow. So here we have the story of Ogbe. He is a Babalao who was extremely good at what he did. He was extremely good. So much so that uh, he had many, many clients coming to him to see him. Um, the thing that made Ogbe different, I guess, from many other Babalaos, I wouldn't say different. The thing that made him unique and most interesting is that his life seemed amazing. Everyone's like, wow, he is always so happy. He's always so excited about every single thing that happened to him. You see, what was interesting about Ogbe is that he decided to make character number one in his life. He decided to focus on his, being benevolent, showing humility, being kind, doing all the things that he needed to do as a priest of Ifa, right? And because of that, every good thing that happened to him in his life, he says, praise Olodumare. This is a blessing for Olodumare. And so that made him happy and filled with his heart. He shared that same philosophy with his family. It says, we are blessed by Olodumare. And so when people from the outside were looking in, they were like, wow, man, what an amazing family. What an amazing group of people. Right? I want what they have. I want to be with them. I want to know who they are. Now, what's interesting to note is that Ogbe was not wealthy. He did not have a big house. He did not have lots of horses or cars, as in our time. He did not have all of the luxuries of life. But that didn't matter to him. His focus was more on what Olodumare provided for him and all of the blessings that he had. So one day he was called to go to Ajase. Ajase was dealing with some problems. They had issues with challenges in the leadership, challenges with families not being able to reproduce, challenges with crime. It was just really, there were a lot of issues going on within this community. And so Ogbe was finding himself there to help and support. So before he goes to Ajase, he goes to have Ifa cast. The Babalao explains to Ogbe that, Baba, you're going to be very, very successful in the work that you do. Be sure to offer a bow with a very giant okete, right? Offer a bow with a giant okete and these other items, so that you'll continue to have your success. So Ogbe gets to Ajase. As he gets to Ajase, he starts working. He starts helping people. Now, because of who Ogbe is and how he is in life, his goodness, it was spreading to everyone that he assisted. His kindness, his attitude, the way that he approached life was so different from what these people had been dealing with before. It was they were getting help and their lives were changing. So clients kept coming. He's doing very well for himself and for the people that he is assisting with Ifa. Now, here's where the problem starts. There was a group of people who were part of the original problem. They were the part of, why there were so many problems in Ajase. They started to see things getting fixed and people getting out of their issues or their challenges. And they started to find themselves, and they were mad. They were like, who is Ogbe? Why is he here messing up what we set for ourselves? Right? These were the criminals. They made a plot that they wanted to kill Ogbe. On the other hand, you have now another group of Awo, and these particular Awo weren't successful at assisting these people of getting out of trouble, and they were mad at Ogbe also. Who is he to come here and fix these problems? That should be our money. We should be getting that. We should be having those clients. So these Awo vowed to kill Ogbe. So now Ogbe's got two sets of people who are upset with him, who are angry with him, and want to cause harm in his life. Now, Ogbe, the most wonderful thing about Ogbe is that he had the support. He had the support of Olodumare. He had the support of the Orishas. He had the support of Eshu Odara. So, as this group, these two groups came to decide when they were going to take Ogbe's life, Eshu Odara comes in, and he comes to Ogbe and he says, Baba, it's time. It's time for you to leave. You've done what you can to help turn this town around. It's time for you to return to your home. And Ogbe asks why. It's like, why? Eshu says, you have these people are coming to work against you, and you must go before they take your life. Ogbe says, but how do I do this? How do I get away from these people? And Eshu says, you offered Egbo with a giant okete. Well, that okete had dug a tunnel, one part of town that went all the way under town through the other. You could go there, use that tunnel, escape. Ogbe says, Ashe. So he gathers what he can, everything he can. He finds himself, Eshu takes him to he gets in there, gets through, makes back to his town. Now here comes the group of Awos and criminals that were looking for Ogbe. They all bust open the door of where Ogbe had lived, and they saw Ogbe was gone. And they thought to themselves, what is this? What is going on? All right, so they search town, they search all over, they find the hole, they make their way through the hole, they get out to the other looking for Ogbe. Ogbe's not found to be anywhere. This is how Ogbe escaped. Support of Eshu Odara, because in the sense that we have to consider the good of Ogbe, right? Ase was in a mess because of the crooked people that lived there that were also Awos. They were challenges to Ajase. That breaks another. Let's see. Hopefully, okay. Sorry, my stream went out. Hopefully, you can still hear me and see. All right. So that breaks my heart as an Awo to know that there were Awos and criminals that were working against priest. That's a challenge to think about. But what ended up saving Ogbe in the end was his good character, his offering of Ebo, his support from the Orisha, his support from Olodumare. Olodumare wasn't going to allow Ogbe to deal with any challenges in his life, right? Ogbe is forever grateful to Olodumare for what little blessings he had. It's an important message for us all. We have to understand that each day is a blessing. Each day we wake up is a blessing. Everything that we have in our life is a blessing. Things may not be perfect now, but understand there's always an opportunity for it to get better. And it's important for us to show and keep good character so that we will maintain support of the Orisha, right? If I come back to the questions that I asked in the beginning, right, and think about these that I just shared today, Right? How does unchecked anger impact personal relationships and professional opportunities? Well, easy. In Ogbe, we saw how the two characters of the story lost something that could have easily been theirs if they would have shown good character and refused to use anger. We see in Ogbe how the good character of the Awo is what allows him to be successful, right? The negative emotions that are given off by others will not affect those who come to do good. If we can focus on that as followers of Ifa and Orisha, that will bring us to our success. And the last question, what role does self-awareness play in preventing anger from negatively affecting one's destiny? We must be aware. We must know who we are, where we come from, and what we've come to accomplish. We have to be. If we are unaware of how we're treating people, we're going to lose out in this life. It's something to think about. So I want to thank you for joining me in today's message to you all. I thank Ifa. I thank Olodumare for the blessings that I have in my life. I thank those of you who are supporting by watching our temple services. Thank you very much. Let us continue to do good as Ifa and Orisha people. Let's continue to change people's lives and then offer them support. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful week. Aburu aboye aboshishe ogboato. Many blessings. Let me see who actually, I have a comment here. Greetings, Aburu aboye aboshishe ogboato baba. Many blessings to you. Thank you for joining us today. We'll be back again for, next week. My wife and I are celebrating our wedding anniversary. I believe this is number 11. Yep, we're celebrating year 11 for our wedding anniversary. So we'll be enjoying some time together. So it won't be live next week. We'll probably post something, but we won't be live. And then I'll return to live the following week. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please reach out to our temple webpage, Facebook. Let us know. Our phone numbers are available. Our WhatsApp's available. I've started a blog on the I hope you have an opportunity to read that. It's another place for me to allow messages of Ifa to be shared. Again, thank you again for joining. Many blessings.